Hi everyone, my name's Demara, and I'm going to be reading you some channeled material that I received many years ago now, but it's on a fascinating subject and one that is still one of my main interests even now, which is water, and that water has a memory. Some of you may know that maybe it's about 10 years ago, Masaru Emoto came through with a book, like a coffee table book really, with all the pictures of crystals of water that he had frozen. And he had frozen them after speaking words over them. And that was really the big first time that the fact that water had a memory came into the mainstream media. But many years before that, in 1991, in my first channeled book, there was one small paragraph which had a total effect on my life, because even though, and when you listen to these words from this small paragraph that they gave me out of the book, you'll see that they don't actually tell me that water has a memory, but what they're telling me is the effects of the memory on the water, which is really interesting when I look back at this, because I just, from the first time of reading it, I thought to myself, water has a memory. Oh my God, I'm never going to drink tap water ever again. And I didn't. And this was 1991. So I was buying bottled water in order to drink water. And that was way before it was becoming the thing of the day. But it was because I knew that there was a huge difference, and it wasn't anything to do with the flavour of the water. It was to do with the memory. So first I'm going to read the small paragraph from the first book that I was given to channel in 1991. And then I'm going to read another channeling, which didn't go into either book, because there were certain subjects I asked them more about. So when they gave me the two books, they gave me the titles of the books and then the headings for each chapter, and I never did anything and put anything into those books that they didn't tell me to put in. But then, as I asked more and more questions of them in between those two books, I ended up with a load of channelings, which I put onto Hub Pages, which is a writer's site, and they are still up on there actually, but I've just gone back to that today and took off the piece they gave me, the second piece, which is so incredible, about water and why it's so important. So first of all, I'm going to read this short paragraph that came just about water. Clear spring water will give you all of the nutritional aids that you require. Much of the water that is being drunk now on your planet does not contain the minerals and elements that you require within your physical systems. When this water is recycled, it does not then remain the pure essence of water. It has become putrefied. When one drinks this water, then the essence of the putrefied matter is still present within the molecules and atoms. Do not drink any of this water. It is much better for you to collect the drops of rain that fall than contaminate your systems with the energy of putrefaction. Clear cold water will revive your energy systems. So this was the piece, and for me it was that line where it says, when one drinks this water, then the essence of the putrefied matter is still present within the molecules and atoms. That was the piece that went in and became something huge in my bones, in my blood, in my water, in my body, in my mind. I never ever forgot it from that day. And as I said, I've never drunk tap water since then. And do you know, the next thing that happened to me that was really amazing was a few years later, And this was in a house that I actually had a television, because I didn't have a television in a house for like 20 years period at one point, and then another period, a really long period as well. But on this occasion, I had a television in the house I was living in, and there was a program on BBC which was called Heretics, the Heretics of Science, and they went through various people, and then they came to this man called Jacques Benveniste. And oh my God, I could not believe it. I was so glued to this program, because Jacques Benveniste was called a heretic because he said, and he did many, many experiments to prove this, that water had a memory. And he was using it to show how the organs of the body worked and all sorts of strange stuff. I wish I had a copy of that, but there wasn't a video that came out of that series. And there again, it was really interesting, because when I checked up more information about Jacques Benveniste, who has now passed over probably 10 years or so ago. But do you know, his life was threatened so many times. And when he actually died, I remember looking up, trying to see if there was any news about, did they kill him in the end? Because you see, what he was proving and especially on the experiments that he did, I remember seeing this heart. He had this pig's heart, that he used lots of pig's hearts, because he was showing probably the water flow as well, but it was all around that water had a memory. And there would have been a lot of people who want to keep things like this quiet, and hence he was only on a program called Heretics, because they don't want people to know the truth about anything. I mean, now for me, I don't have any, I was going to say edit. There's no edit on me now. There has been edit on me, and I can't think what the word is really, but I'm not editing anything I know forever again. So this is why I'm putting all different subjects onto this channel, because I know that people are still not talking about this and the implications of the fact that water has a memory. It's not just that when you say love and hate over them, they show either really corrupt looking crystals or they show really amazing harmonious ones. That's to be expected. But it's more of the finer details of this. And I'm now going to read to you the second piece that they gave me. And there's so much importance in this. And you know, I still haven't seen anybody talking about this stuff. And this was a piece, the second piece of channeling. And maybe this is a time to listen to the sound of my voice, so that you don't listen to the words, because this stops your mind and body and everything about you judging what is being said to you, because this goes beyond anything that we're ever taught and told about us and our bodies and the importance of water. So just put your attention, or if you have already seen the video Fast Track to Cosmic Consciousness Part 1 that I put up, you will already be used to doing the awareness exercise, and this is the time to do it and listen to the sound of my voice and not what I'm saying, so that it can bypass your bias that's already in there from the training, the teaching, the education that you've received. Okay, so I'm going to begin now. It is in the blessing, the power of water. Water is mostly composed of hydrogen and oxygen, and nothing much else except for the pulse of electricity, which it forms as it moves. But there are secrets within this pulse. This pulse is what makes it a secret device for communicating around the world, around your own body, around the bodies of all insects, mammals, and other creatures. To be masterful over your own body, you will need to be masterful with water, not over water, but with water. It is in the merging of your pulse with the pulse of water that the blessing or communication may begin. We are talking here of an energetic pulse, one which comes from your radiating force field and the force field of the substance water. It was given to you for imaging what it is you want from yourself and others. The all-powerful substance of water is the binding factor around the world. It is the complete matrix of communication, both on a physical, emotional, and spiritual basis. Within your emotions are electrical pulses which charge the water within your bodies. You will sometimes feel the heat of this emotional charge as you get angry or even sad. There is a heat in the pulse which powers the water to give off a radiating charge. This charge is what makes it difficult for you to be in an over-emotional field when you are yourself calm and harmonized. To understand the charge on a spiritual level, you will need to have reached a point where in meditation you become mindless. At this point, all of the water in your body has become at one with itself in a state of grace. When you leave your meditating spot, you will take with you this state of grace, and indeed most of the day after this point will go well, with no upsets and mishaps up until the point at which you become emotional again, and then the charge is released once more and flurries your energy field once again. In the mental capacity, water is becoming charged with every one of your thoughts, every minute of the day, which in itself causes mayhem. As this water in your system changes and revolves around in the ever-moving merry-go-round of thoughts, it becomes very opaque and not clear at all. It is clear water that resonates with the highest frequency. All of the acute mental thoughts are charging the water over and over again. This makes it very hard for you to remain balanced. If we did not have a majority of water in our systems, then we could not be charged and would not be alive. And that word is separated into two words, alive. You will be able to understand this more profoundly if you again look at yourselves as an electrical unit which is being charged unconsciously all of the time. The frequencies are going up and down. 1 minute you love, another minute you are in fear. What will become of you? You know your destiny. How can an electrical unit function when it is overloaded with so many diverse instructions? But first, you will need to be clear to address higher mind. It is the chicken and egg situation. First, you must clear yourself from these lower levels of thought, which are programming the water within your body and causing the wholeness of this water structure to relate on much lower levels. Secondly, your attitude to your higher mind is mostly that it is outside you and not within your own sphere of consciousness. There are in fact two types of higher mind. The one that you have control of yourself within your own sphere of consciousness, and the other which is the one mind where all minds join together. It is in this one mind that you can find the ultimate peace and harmony that you so wish for. So by taking control of your own higher mind, you will therefore help to program the one mind so that it can indeed take over the consciousness of the planet. We are at a point right now where the consciousness of the one mind is gathering higher energy at a much faster rate, and therefore there is a spin-off of energy which again draws to it more finer energy spin-off. We are at the pivot of the balance. We are at the top of the mountain fascia, which leads to the summit. Fascia, I think that should be. We are at the top of the mountain fascia, which leads to the summit. This is the last spin of the dice, as it were. Where do you wish to be? At the foot of the mountain, watching others walk to the top for you? Or as a précis of what we have been addressing, at the bottom of the mountain, trying to understand why you are not at the top, or addressing any of the challenges which will begin your journey in earnest. For the challenge is great to become the master of this unit, which you call body. We cannot address more closely this issue than to begin discussing with you the element of water. Water is your body encased around an electrical charge which is you. You have all been given the charge which is needed to allow you to begin the ascent into mastery. But not everyone has acknowledged that they have a charge. If you have a charge but do not cleanse and reboot the water in your bodies, then the charge cannot pulse very far. If you are operating from a clean, energized water system, then your charge will carry much weight and much power. Now we must cover how this body operates within the system of charge and carrier, for the water is the carrier. Within this water are the nutrients that are used by your system to sustain the qualities of movement, thought, love, caring, and all other qualities. But what are you putting in your bodies? If these nutrients are to be carried through your water system, then you must be prepared to use combining elements which also carry a clean, clear water flow with no toxins which need rinsing out. All of your natural food resources carry clear, clean water within their systems. If you are eating fruit, vegetables, herbs and grains, nuts and berries, which are grown with no adulteration, then you will be able to acquire the free-flowing, energized nutrients in an easy form, which merges with your own system. If you are contaminating all of your foodstuffs with other interesting elements like poisons, metals, and other adulterations, then you can see that your system will dis-ease and die. We do not put in our systems anything that is not of the highest content, so that we do not need detoxing. We have a great reverence for our bodies, whether they are being used or not. For we have free usage of our spirit bodies too, and do not always require to be at home, as it were. But we would not pollute our systems, for we are at the mercy of this system, for our response mechanisms and our ability to live, be alive, which we would not be able to do if the charge was not able to be given space to pulse. You will be required to say this. Right, sorry, I missed the heading because I set this up differently on Hub Pages. The heading is for the next part. For the blessing of food, you will be required to say this as you eat and as you prepare food. For as you are preparing the food, it is taking in the frequency that you are vibrating at. If food is a large proportion of water, then it has the ability to take on any charge that is around it, which is why it is good to eat straight from the vines and the trees, so that the charge is as pure as it can be. You will notice that the flavor is pure and full when you do this. It is no coincidence, for there has been no real pollution on an energetic level at this point. As soon as the food leaves the main stem, it is then open and receiving from a different source, from where it is stored and who is handling it. Do not eat food that is handled and prepared by those that you would not want to be around in your normal lives. It is wrong for your energy. You will feel this the more sensitive you become. There is a heavenly grace in preparing food and eating it in the same way. Be joyous and respectful when you are preparing and eating food, and then you are living the blessing. To live the blessing is much more powerful than to contemplate blessing your food as you begin to eat it. But if you are growing and moving forward and need time to reach this point, then blessing your food will repair some of the damage. A true blessing of your food needs to be carried out with your hands around and over the dish. The words to be spoken or arrived at within your thoughts can be very simple. Purity is the key to the detoxing of the damage to the food. from its surroundings and energetic contamination. So asking for purity and clean, energized nutrients would be sufficient. For a simple blessing, use, I am eating clean, pure food which has been energized and balanced with the right nutrients for my system. This blessing, used every meal, every day, will begin to program your mind to use different ingredients and will give you a completely different approach to food. You are energizing the water and clearing the way for the pure charge as you speak the words. Let food be the fuel of love. Let love be the fuel of your life. May you walk in beauty all of your days. Thank you for listening to that. And when I reread, I haven't read that for an awful long time. I just thought today, what is the next thing I need to talk about on my channel? And this came straight in. And now I remember just how powerful this is. I'm going to read this again to myself tomorrow because there's so much in it about how our bodies work, and that if we start thinking of ourselves as electrical beings, energy beings is how I normally say it, but sometimes it has more impact when we say electrical beings because we're more familiar with that. But the charge, how many times did they mention that? The charge. And that there's the importance in the water is the charge. So much to learn from this piece. And I would suggest everybody who has a real true interest in who we truly are and how we can truly be at our highest needs to reread this several times. Myself also, even though I received this many decades ago. I'm so glad I thought to go back to Hub Pages rather than just talk about it myself. But what it does bring into companionship with this is the awareness exercise that I gave on the Fast Track to Cosmic Consciousness Part 1, because this is about having the awareness when we eat and preparing food, which I talk about on there. And they are also talking about here, giving you the complementing thing that makes that really work is the fact that there's a charge in the water in the food. So what we're learning is the entirety of how our bodies are really working, and they're not working with us knowing all of this every minute of the time, are they? I mean, many people know nothing about any of this information. So it's really important for us to learn it ourselves and teach it to our children, teach it to other people, share this, because this was given by the higher beings for us, for our understanding, for this time that we're in right now. So thank you again for listening and allowing me to share some of your time today. And please subscribe. I'm so thankful for those people who are subscribing because it really helps the algorithm. And also, if you give this a thumbs up, if you think this is really good information for you, that would be wonderful, so that this channel can become more popular, because this is real new information that we're being given here. Thank you again.